I'm Inderpreet Sandhu, Faculty, Department of Psychology, Punjabi University, Patiala. Parenting has always been a very rewarding experience and an equally challenging one. In the last few years, due to sudden lifestyle changes, influence of global culture, social media, and so on and so forth, the dynamics of family environment and parenting has dramatically changed. And in the current lockdown situation, it has only amplified the situation. So I thought it will be a good idea to talk about parenting, talk about different kinds of parenting styles. You know what? Somewhere we always thought that if we were given enough time to spend with our families, with our children, it would help us improve our relationship with them. And the lockdown gave us huge opportunity for that, to spend more time with our families. And on one side, it was a very pleasant experience. And on the other side, it paved way for a lot of conflicts and confrontations with our family members, especially children. It is almost like a trap. We know how to get into the conflict very easily, but not know the way out. So it has been a huge struggle for parents. In the current situation, it can be a huge struggle for the parents to motivate their children. And the parents are grappling with questions like, how do I motivate my child to study in the absence of the school? How do I structure their day? How do I discipline them? How much time should I allow my child to spend online, considering that social media is almost like the staple diet? And as if that was not enough, you are constantly being compared to the parents of your children's friends. So this can make one doubt themselves. So what needs to be done? Let me try and explain that with an analogy of a train. The train has arrived at the station. Passengers have boarded their respective seats. The driver is in the seat. Guard has given the signal. Railways have given the signal. But the train is not going to move until and unless the steam is released from the engine. So likewise, we have to motivate and help our children move ahead. You know, all this can make you doubt your own capabilities. You are trying to do the best you can. But still, somewhere you might feel that I'm not good enough for my child. I want you to take a breather. I want you to relax. And I'll try to assist you in your understanding of yourselves, of your parenting styles. It might help you somewhere. That is my little effort to assist you as a parent and to make you understand what parenting style could you be using. And in no way, at no point will I want to imply that you change your parenting style, because you know your child best, you know your situation best, you know the personality of yourself, of your child, and also the same kind of parenting style is not used in all the situations. It will be a combination. And also, you know, you might, if you have more than one children, you might use one kind of parenting style with one child, another kind of parenting style with another child. So it is only to bring little awareness about oneself. It doesn't hurt. So are you ready to know about some fun names that these parenting styles have? In academics, we use different names, but to make them more relatable, to make them more understandable by you guys, we'll be using here symbolic names, symbolic parenting styles. The first one, and the list is not all inclusive. The first parenting style that I'd like to discuss with you is helicopter parenting style. Have you ever seen a helicopter? It kind of hovers around. So this kind of parenting style is characterized by parents being over-involved in the child's life. I also have to see how is my child perceiving me, because it's a two-way process. Is my child perceiving that I'm too involved in their life? Is my child perceiving that I don't trust them enough? Because on one side, I might be trying to be very loving and caring and show my affection to the child, but the message that the child is getting could be, oh, my parent doesn't trust me enough. Is that the message I'm sending? Because if that's the message I'm sending, the child will try to pull himself or herself away. In the extreme cases, the child might, not even want you to be around them. They might tell you, please don't come into my room. I don't want to be around you, which can be very hurtful. And from your side, you're only trying to do your duty. But from the child's perspective, I'm not being trusted enough. And this might make the child lose their confidence in the long run. So I have to be watchful about the parenting style that I am using. Again, I'll reiterate my point. At no point am I implying that I change it. It is only for myself to observe the parenting style that I'm using, because that awareness might help me deal with my child in a better way. It might help me see the perspective of the child as well, because I can see my perspective, but the perspective of my child and the message that he is receiving is equally important. Another interesting kind of parenting style is tiger parenting. Have you ever seen a tiger? Fierce they are, intimidating. So if my child is perceiving me as a tiger, he's perceiving me in a space of power, and parenting already is being in a state of power. So if my child perceives that way, that means my child will not come up to me when there is a problem. In this kind of parenting style, I have huge expectations from my child, and I do push the child to succeed. All the parents want their children to succeed. It goes without saying. But when it kind of crosses the boundary and the child starts to feel intimidated, it can make my child lose their confidence. It can make my child not believe that I'm approachable as a parent. And researchers have shown that this kind of parenting style may lead to depression, anxiety, or poor social skills. So again, an observation, do I always come across as a tiger and as somebody who's in a position of power, or is my child perceiving me to be gentle and more approachable? Let me discuss another kind of parenting style, very interesting one, bulldozer parenting. Have you ever seen a bulldozer? What does it do? It keeps clearing all the obstacles that come in its way. So that is what I try to do as a parent, though almost all the parents have a tendency to clear the path for their children because that's what they want, try to give very comfortable life to their children. But in this kind of parenting style, I try to do everything that I can do for my children and not let them go through any crisis or minimal crisis. In an ideal world, I would want my child not to go through any crisis, not to go through any stress. But that's not the case. They have to walk their own way. They have to tread their own path. So if my child always has a very clear path, will he be equipped enough to deal with the ordeals of the oncoming life? Maybe no. So I have to watch out for that. And again, what is the message that my child is getting? They will start to believe that life is easy, somebody always will be there to help me out. So they might start to over-depend on others in later life. So kind of being little watchful for this parenting style as well. And reiterating the point, when I say watchful, it is not to not indulge into this parenting style, just to observe the kind of parenting style I'm using. Another very interesting kind of parenting style, free-range parenting style, where as a parent I give a lot of liberty to my child, lot of freedom. Generally this can go little unsupervised as well, and this kind of parenting style is little debatable, because if I'm giving that freedom to my child, I have to be prepared for the natural consequences that my child is going to face. So in this, you might give your child more liberty, more freedom, though the child might like it. But one also has to see that there are some age appropriate checks that are kept on the children. Though in this parenting style, the child might be very confident, might have a very strong relationship with the parents, but again kind of keeping an age appropriate check on my children will help me save my child from maybe some bad company and the like. Another kind of parenting style is gentle parenting. It's a more relaxed kind of parenting style where I'm not too strict and neither too permissive to my child. And I see what are the needs of my child, what is the character of my child. And in this kind of parenting style, I keep a channel of communication open. And the most characteristic part of this parenting style is that I'm able to negotiate. There is scope for negotiation. I sit down with my child, I explain them why have I set the rules that I have, and I include my child in setting those rules. And there are boundaries that are set. So the child and the parent both understand the rules, and both of them feel that they are equal partners. And because they are equal partners, they will like to follow them. So there is the scope of negotiation in this kind of parenting style. No parenting style is better, no parenting style is worse. these parenting styles, as I said earlier, will be used, you will realize that you are using in combination. At one stage, one kind of parenting style seems more appropriate, and at another stage, another kind of parenting style seems more appropriate. But I have to see, what am I being perceived as? What does my child perceive me to be? Because if my child perceives me to be more mature, being able to negotiate certain things, there are chances that my child will want to come over to me whenever they're encountering a problem. They will perceive me as an important person in their life, as a wise person in their lives. Another important point that I'll want to make here is, when we say parenting styles, we assume that both the parents will be using the same kind of parenting styles, which more often than not is not the case. You might be using a gentle parenting style, whereas the other parent, your partner, might be using a more fierce tiger parenting style. So it is important that both the parents sit down and identify the kind of parenting styles they use. As I said earlier, we use a combination of styles, but there is one style which I use more often than the other styles. So it will be good to sit down and discuss the kind of styles that we use and what is the message that my child is getting. Because at the end of the day, both parents want the best for their children. Their expressions could be different, but that doesn't mean that they want any less for their children. And all these parenting styles will have their own pros and cons. They have their own strengths, their own weaknesses. At one stage, you will find one parenting style to be a better option. At the other time, you will want another parenting style to be a better option. So how do I make it a win-win situation? Because in the current situation, especially the lockdown, when we are with each other and we are encountering more conflicts, we are encountering more confrontations, how do I make it a win-win situation? I think the first idea is that I leave the channel of communication open with my child. When my child perceives that there is a kind of threat or loss to his or her freedom, they start to drift away. They start to react, something which is labeled as psychological reactance. So I don't want my child to react in all the situations. And also at the same time, I want to know how my child is feeling. And how do I know that? Only when I start to go in my own childhood and see how it was for me when my parents behaved the way they did. At that time, did I think that when I'll become a parent, this is how I'm going to behave? So sometimes the answers lies, in our childhoods, they lie in our way of being. And very importantly, please validate that you are doing a great job. So nourish yourselves. In the process of parenting, in the process of looking after our children, sometimes we totally forget about ourselves. We totally forget about our identities. And the only identity that we are left with is the identity with my child. So how about I put the oxygen mask on myself first before I put it on others. So this is my chance of connecting with my children. This is my chance of understanding how it really is to be in their shoes. When we become parents, we start to think, the perspective changes and we can only think from the point of the parent. And I know as a parent, I'm trying to do the best for my child. But my child is in a different stage and is in a different time zone altogether. So the idea is to reach to my child, to really see what their needs are, what do they want from me. And as I said earlier, validating myself that I'm trying to do the best I can. So I want my child to be strong, to be independent, to be confident, economically, socially, personally, culturally. Where does it start? It starts at home. If I'm able to give that independence with boundary setting, with limits to my child in the house, my child is going to feel confident. So the idea is to give them those wings in the house. If you have a relaxed and a confident attitude, that will show in your children too. So I'd like to invite you on this journey where you explore yourselves, connect with yourselves, because if you are doing that, it will be easier for you to connect with your children. And if that connect is formed, the bond that you have with your children will be strengthened. I wish you all the luck in exploring yourselves, in connecting with yourselves first, and then connecting with your children. Thank you.